Welcome to Making Money with Laura Sanders, a name you can trust. With over 20 years of real estate experience and selling over 150 homes a year, Laura Sanders is the #1 RE/MAX agent in the state of Florida for 2021. Join us each week as we discuss how to make money through buying and flipping homes, to renting versus selling, and everything in between. To join the conversation, call in live 888-994-4995, Studio A.
Hi everyone, welcome to Making Money with Laura Sanders, and I am your host, Laura Sanders. Every week we talk about something that will help you make a little money, save a little money, or just maybe help you navigate this crazy world we live in. Today, Dawn and I are here talking about the hurricanes and what that's going to mean for us in the future for insurance, and what does it mean for Florida? Where does that put us? So, hi Dawn.
Hey, a sad topic, but an important topic. So I'm glad you're covering it this week because 2 storms in 2 weeks is crazy.
Yeah, and we're still figuring out what the aftermath is really going to be. So I'm concerned as a realtor. What does this mean for my industry? What are we going to see for like the increase in insurance claims?
Right, so you've got insurance claims, then you've got property, and people who have lost their homes, they need to rebuild, or either going to rebuild or look for new. Maybe they leave the West Coast, come to the East Coast, what that looks like. Plus, you've got the insurance and who's going to be able to get coverage.
Right.
What do you think? I know if we tried to call Brandon, but what do you think is going to happen? So,
we're already seeing tremendous increase in pricing before. In fact, it's funny. Today I was on an appointment today, and and I know this is digressing just a little bit, but I was asking. They were talking about downsizing, and we were talking about their FP&L bill, right? And I asked them, I'm like, well, what does your bill look like? So they're like, you know what? We don't even know. So they pull up their bill, and it's $600. Like the wife's like, oh, it's $300. Husband's like, oh, I don't know. Let's see. They open it up, they look at it, it's like $600, it's $700. I'm like, your house is like 3,100 square feet. Like by downsizing to 2,000, like that's gonna change how much you pay for that. What people don't realize is that FP&L has raised their rates so much in the last few years, it's the same as insurance. And it's like, where do we get a break? How do we catch up? Storms are gonna cause FP&L to charge us more because they're fixing from the storms. When I bought my house, my insurance was $4,000. My insurance is now like $13,000. Now, did my house almost double in value? Almost, not quite, right? From what I bought it for, about 8 years ago.
Yeah, but would they know that with insurance? If you haven't put in...
So what happens, well, you're right. So that's why probably some people will be underinsured. Because sometimes people, they never make a claim. And insurance just keeps renewing them. Because I have an investment property in Pompano. I've had this property since 1999. Long time. Thank you, never have had a claim on this one particular property. So my rates really stay pretty stable on that one. Now, what people don't realize is that when you make a claim, it follows you. So I have had claims in the past. Let's go back to Hurricane Wilma. I owned about 15 houses at the time.
Wow.
9 houses were terribly damaged. One had a tree fall on it and crush it.
So you carried insurance on these 15 properties?
And it was cheap back then. It was nothing like it was today. Like you actually could buy a property and cash flow. I used to call them like cash cows, right? Now, they're not cash flowing. They're not income properties, they're loss properties.
And I was watching something about North Carolina, I know which is different, but people who lost their homes in landslides, their insurance company drops them 2 days later.
I didn't see that, and that is...
I know it's a different state, but it's still an insurance company dropping you for whatever reason after the storm. And then you talked, I guess it was last year, about flood insurance. And I did not have flood insurance on my home at the time. And I went home and it said, why don't we? Well, we're not in a flood zone. I said, but do you know the difference? We talked about this between flood insurance and hurricane insurance.
And water coverage.
And water coverage,
right. Because if you're if your washer dryer, like if your washer explodes, that's not flood insurance. That's water coverage. Some people, when you don't talk about this every day, you kind of don't understand what you're talking about. So to me, if I didn't do this and you said to me, well, you know, her washer machine exploded and, you know, came through the ceiling, I would think that's like flood because I'm thinking water.
And flood is from the outside in.
Correct. So it's like, you know, massive rain. So like in Tampa, they are gonna, or they did get, you know, 12 feet.
Right. 12, 16 flood waters.
Yeah. Like that is what we're in right now. We're probably in like, this is probably 17 feet.
We were talking about that this morning, right? We're 16 feet here.
Okay, I figured
so that,
17, 16,
That
yeah.
water surge is
It's going to surpass or come right at
insane.
this. Like that's, I mean, do you remember when you were a kid and you go to the beach and like that big wave would come and like literally pull you back under? I mean, that's scary.
When you think about what insurance is going to do, though, I mean, what it has to do,
Right.
and then finding properties. If you rebuild, right, between one hurricane on the West Coast to the second, people have already put in FEMA claims, or they're still working on their FEMA claims, insurance claims, and now you can have this second surge of what it is. And then
Yeah, I wonder how that does work. Like,
even to
is that one
rebuild,
claim? Is it two claims?
it's
Because
gonna be-
you haven't fixed it
we
yet.
haven't fixed it, right? So are you on a second hurricane deductible the second time around? We need Brandon is what we need.
Yeah, I wonder if he's around.
So,
I
right,
mean,
so your hurricane deductible is what, 2% of whatever your coverage is typically, 2 to 5%, I think? So do you go for a second round or it's already covered in the first? But then where does everyone go to live, right? You've got devastation, you can't live in it until it's fixed.
Right.
Now they're going to call you, because you can work anywhere in the state, in Florida. Or
I mean,
you
who?
can send someone, people who need houses now, from the West Coast. Where are they
Yeah,
going
they
to live?
could come this way, right? I mean, they could come, but you know what? The other thing is like people like myself that do have some seasonal rentals. Season's coming up; they're already booked.
Wow.
So what do you do?
What do you do?
Like
You're looking for rentals?
So my friend's brother lived on the West Coast and Fort Myers. He had a condo there, so he lives part-time in Ohio, part-time in the West Coast. So, you know, season comes and he says, I want to stay at your place because my place in Fort Myers is being rebuilt. Here we are. This is 2 years later from Fort Myers, right? So we're now with Fort Myers, just now they're just coming back. Here they come again, right? So I don't know.
It's a complicated. We actually have a few transplants over here right now because of the storm, because they had some place to go. But
Right.
there are people who have no place to go that are on the roads, and then you're afraid to go back, flooding alone, right? You bring 2 cars over if you can.
It takes like 2 years to rebuild at
What that
least.
looks
So
like.
where are you going to live for 2 years? And, you know, you can't, what if your job is there?
What
Now
do you
there's no
do?
job. I mean, what's this mean for people's job? I mean, this is scary.
It's devastating for everything. And North
And-
Carolina didn't see it coming, and they've lost. Even if you didn't lose the business, Asheville lost so much, and they've lost the whole infrastructure.
Yeah,
of
I was just
Asheville.
in Nashville like 2 months ago, and yeah, this bar that we had walked into is gone. The Biltmore is gone. If you had your wedding plan there, I mean, that's just horrible.
Everything's just gone.
Yeah.
And what is changing for families and lives, stress level. But you can help with rental properties here. Now, are there short-term rental properties maybe over on this side that people could get, or
For about
on
a
the other
month
side?
maybe before season starts, because a lot of people are already booked up for season. I mean, people call right now asking for, you know, that December, January, and we're always telling them, sorry, it's already booked, it's already booked. So
And you carry insurance on all of these. Now, what's happening with Citizens? Do you know?
yeah, so they're doing something called depopulation. And
That doesn't sound good.
yeah, no.
It
So
really doesn't
I
sound
just
good.
got, so it's funny because I just called this particular policy. I called the insurance agent and I said, hey, I got this depopulation. Tells me that I have till the 11th, which is in 2 more days, to basically make a decision on which policy I want to go with, right? And then they're like, nope, your only option is this policy. And I was like, oh, how much more is that? So it's like another $1,100. So
What
it's-
does that mean, depopulation?
so pushing you out of Citizens into another policy, and I think, don't quote me, I think it's got to be within 10% of the Citizens.
Now, Citizens compared to, say, another company that's not within that, different coverage or just different financial structure?
That's a great question because I haven't seen the new policy. So, and let's be honest with each other. Like, how many of us can really understand everything that's in that policy? It is kind of complicated. They kind of put it all over in all the different pages, and you're like, what is this? So, and he talked about, in our last show with Brandon, we talked about admitted versus non-admitted. So admitted, which would be like Citizens. Citizens is run by the government. So another thing that we owe money, right? We're so upside down with money.
With money.
Like, it's like, where do you go with this?
And now we're only going to be more upside down because we have to help people who've been in this path of the storm, in the wake of the storm. You have to help people, which means it's more money, but that's what we do.
And I had clients that moved from here to North Carolina.
I think a lot of people did. They were vacationing there. The stories were just horrific.
No, they moved there though. Like, left here, moved there. And it's like, where can you move to get away from this? Like, realistic.
You can't.
Yeah, I mean, remember, Sandy. I was in Sandy the night before at a wedding. One of my best friends from kindergarten was getting married. I was at Russo's on the Bay, so on a waterfront property. Amazing wedding. Next day, I mean, we got out at 8 a.m. and they still partied till about 4, and then at 10 o'clock, they shut down cabs. They shut down the subway. You could not get out of New York. We got lucky. We got out. We got out. And, because you have to remember, like, what affects somebody there doesn't affect people here.
True.
So you don't get back to your job here. They don't care that you're over there and they've been devastated. That's the problem with the world today.
And for Florida, everyone knew on this storm, if you needed to evacuate, you needed to get out. North Carolina on the last storm, they didn't know. There was nothing anywhere that said, North Carolina, be prepared. This is going to happen. No one could get out. No one knew to get out.
It was like,
the landslides, right? So no one knew to get out. And that's so much of the devastation is people got stranded. Here, I think everyone knew from 2 weeks ago to get out on this one.
Yeah.
Traffic was terrible.
I know that my old brokers, their parents, I saw that they posted on Facebook, there was a bridge to get to their house. And actually the only way to get to their parents was through somebody's private property. And you know how some people can be, even when it comes to disaster, it's like, you still have to get permission to go through their land to get to where you need to go.
But you see what's happening here. For your industry, I can't even imagine what's going to happen now as we roll out of hurricane season into next year, as insurance values continue. They're going to rise for sure, right?
Yeah.
Are we even going to be able to get insurance? What it's going to look like to rebuild and then to insure new properties.
So what happens? Like, we'll go to commercial break. When we come back, I mean, realistically, what does happen? Like, if you can't get insurance, how do we buy houses?
Well, I was talking to someone yesterday, and they own their house outright, but they don't have insurance. But heaven forbid they're hit by a hurricane or flooding.
But it's not even, but
who
more
pays to fix
disaster.
it?
Nobody, you do.
Right.
But what do you do if your house burns down?
And,
and these electrical panels, anything could happen, right?
We can talk about that. I saw a story about that too.
Yeah, so stay tuned. We're going to go check out our awesome sponsors, and we'll be right back.
Whether you're buying, selling, refinancing, or building your dream home, you have a lot riding on your loan specialist. Max Fish, a top 1% mortgage loan officer in the nation, will give you a same-day qualifying quote. Max Fish is committed to providing his customers with mortgage services that exceed their expectations. Ensuring that you make the right choice for you and your family is his ultimate goal. Contact Max Fish today at 954-729-6933 or max.fisch@nwmcorp.net.
At JK Closing Attorneys, we do all of the same things that a title company does, but with the benefits of being a law office. We can help with residential real estate, short sales, commercial real estate, refinances, 1031 exchanges, and FRIPTA withholding.
Contact JK Closing Attorneys today at 954-332-3111. Again, that is 954-332-3111.
You have been watching Making Money with Laura. For more information, contact Laura Sanders at 954-650-0827 or visit her website at laurasell.com. And now back to the show.
Hi everyone, welcome back to Making Money with Laura Sanders, and I am your host, Laura Sanders. We're talking about insurance, what that means for the real estate industry. I am a realtor. That's why I'm on this show. So I could get you to call me to sell your house or to buy a house or to even just help you to navigate the real estate, climate that we have. And this is definitely interesting.
Well, you talk about condos all the time. You've done a lot of talk on condos and reserves and buying in. When you're buying a condo, be careful of what they have in reserves. What happens in a massive storm?
So it's interesting, talking about storm surges and coming up like 12, 13, 10, 12 feet. It's funny, the people that say, well, I'm buying a condo on the second floor, it's never going to hit me. Honestly, when I think of that, I think of a tsunami, right?
Because you're thinking how many feet up?
And I'm thinking, we're in Florida, what's the likelihood that would happen? But who would know that it's so likely and that this is happening? And it's really shocking, to be honest. I'm totally shocked.
Because in a condo, you're only insuring from the walls in
Correct.
as the owner.
Right.
So if something happens and you get hit by a storm or flooding comes in from outside, does the condo pay, their insurance pays for what?
They're going to pay for the drywall out. So
And
the
then you're responsible
drywall,
in?
the drywall, so anything after the drywall, they're going to do the drywall out. You're going to do the painting in. So if, let's say you have carpet and all your carpet's soaking wet, that's on you.
That's on you.
Just like if, let's say the roof leaks from the condo because the condo doesn't take care of the roof. Now the roof leaks and leaks on your carpet. They're not responsible for your carpet. You feel like they should be, right? Because they didn't maintain the property.
Right.
Or if you've called them multiple times and told them, hey, the roof is leaking, X, Y, and Z. You would think that they would be, but they're not. So they're even supposed to take care of the plumbing inside. So when the plumbing backs up, they're really supposed to take care of it. But let's say, for instance, your sink, your faucet isn't working. That's on you.
Okay, that I can see. But say upstairs is leaking down to you, that's on you.
Well, right. So if upstairs leaks, so this is called subrogation. You would subrogate against the person upstairs. Who subrogates? Not you, your insurance company. Right. You'll go and make a claim to your insurance company. They're going to look at the situation and they're going to say, oh, well, apartment, 206 leaked onto 106. They're going to sue 206 and go after their insurance. If they don't have insurance, well, they're going to end up paying your claim. But it's like car insurance, right? If somebody doesn't have insurance and you get in a car accident.
Right, so that I understand that part. But the hurricane, you think it gets a little funky. Should a storm come in, it goes into hurricane damage, it goes into coverage. There's our Tampa transplant running in here.
She wants to be a radio.
The outside in water comes in, flood or hurricane. You've got condos on the ocean.
Yeah, so that's flood, water coming in. Now, here's where it gets a little crazy, and I've seen this before. Realize now you have winds, which are pushing the waters in. So is it wind damage with water? Because how do you differentiate what is rain and wind or water being pushed in, right? So they try to always get out of paying you if they can.
What do you think of home appraisers? Do you work with any? I'm assuming you must know quite a few.
Yeah, and I actually have a friend, she also does, she's like that arbitrator that comes in, she reassesses, and she's like the ombudsman.
That's what I'm thinking. If you have a claim, this is what I'm thinking. I guess they're not called appraisers. It's
oh no, that's a different thing now. You're thinking of a claims adjuster.
But you can have someone private come in.
No, that's a claims adjuster.
A claims adjuster.
Because they have so I've been through all of this.
That's what I'm
During
thinking.
Wilma, right?
Right.
I hired my own personal claims adjuster. Back in Wilma, it was like butter, okay? But what do you think created this problem? The major storm that we had before Wilma was 1992, Major.
Andrew.
I'm not talking about like George, like those ones. They weren't as devastating as what we're going through now. Wilma was the worst with Katrina. But that was all within like this short period of time, like what we're going through now.
True.
Right? We had Katrina, we had George, Katrina, Wilma. So then rewind, not fast forward, rewind, Andrew, 1993, August 23rd, 1993. 1992. Sorry, I had my tonsils out the day before, so it's a little traumatic for me.
Right.
I didn't get any ice cream because I didn't have any electric.
And
Sorry, it didn't work anyway.
Everything changed during Andrew. And I remember Wilma
Building
came
codes.
in across the state, just much like this one did. And we still got hit on this side, not even knowing. Even our house got hit more from Wilma than we have when Francis and Jean scooted up the side. Like it took out our screening, everything imploded. Insurance was pretty much like, tell me your claim, they sent it out, and the checks went. Now you're saying all these years later, it's going to change.
Oh yeah, it's not going to be anywhere like that. Like I said, Wilma was like, I had 9 claims. I probably should have done them myself at first, but 9 claims. I felt very overwhelmed.
That's a lot.
I had no idea. I mean, you're talking 2005. That made me a lot younger and a lot less knowledgeable. But all this helped me to understand what I understand today. Now, there's a new law that has gone into place in the last year and a half, and it's about water coverage. So they've now capped what a claim can be. And so they've also changed where adjusters can't, you can't send it to the attorneys. It really made a big change in the world. And that was to probably minimize the amount of claims that come in. So that's why you'll see like a lot of insurance companies don't have water coverage. You really have to read your policy and understand what your risks, what is your level of risk. It's kind of scary. Like sometimes, renting doesn't seem so bad sometimes, right?
And what do you think about a claims
homeownership
adjuster?
is great.
Right, you have the storm, you've been affected by the storm, your insurance company says, I'll give you X. And that $1,000 or whatever something crazy is not going to cover it.
Here's what your best bet always is, and I mean, people can disagree with me or whatever, but this is how I see it. First off, never sign off your rights, right? Okay. If they ask you to sign off your rights, you don't want to do that. So that's first and foremost. What you do want to do is you want to probably do your claim yourself, see what they're going to give you, and then let an adjuster go back in. Because anything you get on the first run is yours. Okay. They don't get a piece of the pie. Also, everybody, I want you to know this, is that the amount that an adjuster can charge you in a hurricane is completely different than the amount an adjuster can charge you in a regular home claim that you just have every day.
Which is more?
Home claim every day is more. See, a hurricane is considered to be, like
an act of nature, right?
And it's an emergency. It's like something that you don't have any control over. Okay. So it's typically 10% and 20%. Oh, wow. Anybody charging you more than 20 on a regular claim is gouging. You can negotiate that with them, by the way. It's negotiable, just like commissions are that we keep talking about, right? So, when it comes to a hurricane, it's 10%. They cannot gouge you. I saw somebody post on Nextdoor yesterday, they should be reported for gouging. It was a 36 pack of water for $6.88. I was like, if that is gouging, like, it was just so funny to see the comments. Like, most people are like, isn't that like normal? It depends on where you go. Like, sometimes it's $4.99. Sometimes you can go to Big Lots and get 2 24s for $5. Like, depends. Like, but to say that $6.88 is gouging, I was laughing. I'm like, that. For 36 bottles of water, it's like, what is it, like 22 cents a piece? Like,
but do you think, and I'm sure you have people, if people called you, you would have someone to refer to if they were looking for a claims adjuster after these storms?
Yeah, I definitely have people that I recommend. You want to be careful. Again, it's like picking a realtor. Like, you don't want to just pick anybody.
That's why they have to call you for all of these things.
Because now you can all get the part-timers too. Like, everybody's going to join in on this. They're not going to know what they're doing. I mean, think of it like this. So now you're got to get your home assessed for damages, right? You get that person, like, could you imagine just getting like, even like a 21-year-old girl, like, what does she know about building codes and what to remodel? And I mean, I'm not trying to put down a girl that's 21, but I'm just saying, like, realistically, like, unless their dad is a contractor, they've grown up with this, they know everything, like, those are the people they have to go back. Like I said, one of my friends, she does this, right? But she's been doing it she gets up on the roof, she stands on the roof, she knows what she's looking at. And by the way, I just want to point this out. if we do have high winds, when we do have high winds in a hurricane, I want you to do this. I do want you to have somebody go back out on top of your roof, check your roof, make sure that your roof isn't loose. You know, most people, like, I love it. It's my favorite thing on a listing appointment. I mean, even my friend, he just sold his house. It's like, it's 2 years old, the roof. And he's like, oh yeah, the roof is new. Like, we're not gonna, things happen in 2 years.
You don't realize it.
Right. I had a roof that the guy was like, let me just go up there and look. He took video, and where I couldn't see, it was all shattered.
Wow.
So
And it was a new roof.
yeah.
You just don't know.
So it's like, after this, all these winds, even I have to go back out and check and make sure.
All your 15 properties.
I don't know what you're talking about.
All your 9 properties.
all of them. All 2. No, I'm just
Oh,
kidding.
man.
But yeah, I have to go back out and check and make sure that
Yeah.
damage, like properties I manage for people, we've got to make sure, because the thing is that, you know, because of the high winds, then the claims will be able to be, you know, taken care of. And there's a time constraint on all this too.
How do people reach you?
If you need a realtor and you have questions, even like where to go, I mean, I got somebody call me the other day, asked me like, who do I call for this? It was actually about a mold situation. And I said to the lady, I said, listen, although this is not the most, you know, this is not the best situation, I said, I can definitely help you through it, where at least you feel comfortable that you didn't get taken advantage of. So if you're looking for somebody that knows what's going on when it comes to remodeling, selling a home, buying a home, give me a call. Laura Sanders, RE/MAX Direct, 954-650-0827. You can also check out my website at www.laurasell. And definitely want to check out my YouTube, because we've got some amazing past shows on there. And one of my favorites is with Kevin Unger from the Ticket Wizard. Do I blow or do I not blow? Check it out. You'll love it. Anyway, till next week. We'll see you. Thank you for watching Making Money with Laura Sanders.
Thank you for tuning in for Making Money with Laura Sanders, a name you can trust. To join the conversation, call us at the studio, 888-994-4995 Studio A, or contact Laura directly at 954-650-0827. Laura Sanders, a name you can trust. We look forward to seeing you next week.